For 2 seasons, Caitlin Clark was the most watched player in women's basketball and the most unprotected one. She absorbed the contact. She played through the physicality. She did everything right. And the league, the referees, the opposing teams, they ran the same calculation. Touching Clark had no real cost. That calculation just changed. Misha Hines-Allen is now in Indiana, a 2019 champion, a linebacker's sister, a player who competed against Sylvia Fowles and decided she would never be physically intimidated by anyone again. Tonight we are going to discuss what her arrival means for Caitlin Clark. The bodyguard has arrived, and everything is different now. The enforcer soon Indiana needed. The story of why Misha Hines-Allen matters to the Indiana Fever begins not with her resume or her championship ring, but with a sequence of events that Clark fan world viewers lived through in real time. 2 seasons of watching the most important player in women's professional basketball absorb contact that the rule book was supposed to.
But playing at UConn, she is used to all of this. Oh, Caitlin Clark, rookie on rookie crime!
Prevent. This is not a grievance, it is a context, and without the context, the signing is just a transaction. She immediately faced a specific kind of opposition that had nothing to do with defensive schemes or tactical preparation. She faced physicality, the kind applied deliberately, repeatedly, to a player who had already demonstrated. She could not be stopped through conventional defense guards who made contact before the shot to bigs who set positions with elbows at shoulder height, a standard of contact that drew comment from analysts and broad fan documentation across social media, but rarely produced the whistle that professional basketball is supposed to provide. She absorbed it and played. She played all 40 games of her rookie season. She broke the WNBA's all-time single-season assist record with 337 assists in 1 year, a number no player in league history had ever reached. She won Rookie of the Year with. She played through everything the game threw at her body and came back the next day ready to do it again. The 2025 season arrived with Clark coming off the most statistically historic rookie campaign in league history. The expectations were enormous. The Fever were considered among the league's most dangerous teams.
The first pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, the Indiana Fever select Caitlin Clark, University of Iowa.
And then the injuries started. A left quad strain cost her 3 weeks. She returned. Left groin injury cost her 2 more weeks. She returned again. And then on July 15th, in the final minute of a win over the Connecticut Sun, a game Indiana was actually winning, her right groin gave way, and she did not play another game that season. 28 games missed out of a possible 41. A fourth injury, a bone bruise in her left ankle, was discovered during August workouts and rehabbed concurrently with the groin. On September 5th, Clark posted, "Disappointed is not a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. Through all of this, the questions the fans were asking had never been directly answered." Coach Stephanie Whitehead stood in a post-game press conference after a 92-88 loss to the New York Liberty, a game decided by a final second no call on Natasha Cloud's strip of Clark, and said the officiating had been egregious. She said the disrespect had been unbelievable. She publicly questioned whether the WNBA's internal grievance process for officiating disputes.
66 of a possible 67 votes, as close to unanimous without being legally unanimous. Caitlin Clark is named the WNBA's Rookie of the Year.
Even worked. Those words existed on the record. The pattern they described existed on the record, and the injury season that followed existed on the record. What did not exist on the record, entering the 2026 season, was a solution: the Indiana Fever roster for all. Kelsey Mitchell of Leah Boston, a young core with genuine ceiling, had been identified by fans and analysts alike as lacking a specific element: physical protection, an enforcer, but a player whose presence on the court changed the calculation for any opponent considering whether to apply hard contact to the Fever star. That is a specific kind of player. IT cannot be manufactured by scheme or by coaching adjustment. IT has to be recruited. And it has to be someone with the physical credentials, the experience, and the reputation to make the message credible. Before a single play is run, the Indiana Fever had reportedly tried to recruit exactly that player as far back as 2022. The right moment had not arrived. Then it did, and Misha Hines-Allen walked through the door, the champion who chose Indiana. There is a specific kind of weight that comes with the 2019-1B championship ring that IT does not guarantee anything.
Clark has missed. She's being sidelined by a right groin injury. No word yet on when she might return to action.
About the player wearing it. The league has produced champions who faded quickly and others who spent years building on what the title taught them, but it establishes something that cannot be manufactured any other way. The player has been in the environment where everything matters, has understood what that environment demands, and has performed well enough to survive it. Misha Hines-Allen won that ring. As a second-year player with the Washington Mystics, she was 23 years old, a second-round pick out of the University of Louisville in her second professional season. She had been selected 19th overall in the 2018 WNBA draft, a pick that carried no obvious guarantee of impact, a pick that said potential rather than a rival. And yet by the end of the following season, she had a championship to her name. The year after that, in 2020, she made her arrival official that Hines-Allen posted 17 points, 8.9 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and 1.4 steals per game. She earned all one but second team honors. She announced herself as one of the most complete power forwards in the league, a player who could defend, rebound, score, and make her teammates better.
Determined that Ariel Atkins had possession.
Clark to switch on to Dolson, steps back and buries a triple.
Simultaneously, that version of Misha Hines-Allen had never entirely disappeared. IT had moved through different franchises, Washington, Minnesota briefly, Dallas in 2025, adapting to different roles, different rosters, different levels of opportunity. In her final season with the Wings, she averaged 7.6 points and 6 rebounds in 22 minutes across all 40 games. The scoring line was modest, the basketball intelligence behind it was not. She was 30 years old when the Fever came calling. She had spent 8 seasons learning every way that professional basketball can test a player. She had competed against Hall of Fame talent. It's talent around Clark. 66 of 67 possible votes. With it, the signing as a survived franchise trades navigated the reality of being a veteran in a league that is always looking toward younger faces, and when Indiana called for the second time 4 years after the first attempt, she said yes immediately. The reason she gave at Fever Media Day was direct, and without calculation, winning was a priority.
We're a better team, so we want to win another championship, so we know teams are going to go and run, so we need to learn how to stop it faster.
Playing with Caitlin Clark was an opportunity she recognized as singular, and when she heard that Clark specifically wanted her in Indiana, the decision was already made. In her own words, once I also heard that she really wants me here too. I was like, oh, well, let's get it done. That last detail matters more than the contract number, the player of Hines-Allen's experience and credentials does not sign with the team simply because it is available. She evaluated her options as an unrestricted free agent, a player who had earned the right to choose, and she chose Indiana. She chose a roster built around a player she described as one of the greatest who will ever play the game of basketball. She chose to step into a role that would require her to subordinate her own statistical identity in service of something larger. That is not a decision made by a player who is simply grateful for the opportunity. That is a decision made by a player who understands exactly what the opportunity represents and believes in it deeply enough to commit everything she has.
Now Washington does come up with a steal. Hines-Allen able to gather it.
Built to supporting it. Coach Stephanie White saw it from the first practice. She gave Hines-Allen a specific title that carries more meaning than any defensive statistic. Mother hen and answer. When Caitlin Clark arrived in Indiana in 2024, a role player, not a veteran presence, a mother hen, the person in the room who settles the environment, who holds younger players accountable without making a production of it, who communicates the standard through presence rather than volume. Former teammate Shot Ori Walker Kimbrough, who had spent 5 seasons alongside Hines Allen in Washington, reached for a different metaphor entirely when asked to describe her physical style. A linebacker, she said the description did not require elaboration. The champion had chosen Indiana. The mother hen had arrived. The linebacker was ready. The question was where that combination of qualities came from. The Misha Hines-Allen standard. To understand what Misha Hines-Allen carries onto a basketball court, it helps to understand where she came from, specifically the family that shaped the competitive identity.
Misha Hines-Allen buries the triple. Her 15th three-point make of the season.
She has spent her professional life refining. The Hines-Allen family does not produce passive athletes. Her brother Josh Hines-Allen was selected 7th overall in the first round of the 2019 NFL Draft by. The same year Misha won her WNBA championship. He was, from the moment he arrived in professional football, identified as a player with the potential to be one of the most disruptive defensive forces in the league. In the 2023 NFL season, Josh Hines-Allen recorded 17.5 sacks, tied for second in the entire NFL that year. He earned his second Pro Bowl selection. He had become the kind of player that offensive coordinators build game plans around neutralizing.